The representatives of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning will now present a shadow play based on the life of Swami. The representatives of the campus are now offering their obeisance to Bhagwan.
Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba manifested on 23rd November 1926. His life was an unending saga of spreading love and peace and of awakening man to his true nature. In the engulfing darkness of complexities of modern life, Bhagwan Baba's life is the beacon that instills hope and inspiration for a better and brighter morrow.
Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Dum ta na 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 dum ta na 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 dum ta na 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 dum ta 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 na 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 dum. Om Namah Shivaya.
There was no one to know who I was until I created the world at my pleasure with one word. Immediately mountains rose up, oceans, seas, lands and watersheds, sun, moon and desert sands sprang out of nowhere to prove my existence. Then came all forms of beings, man, beasts and birds, speaking, hearing, flying. All powers were bestowed upon them under my order. The consciousness of Shiva, the energy of Shakti, it is from the divine union of the two that the creation sprang forth. The smallest of the small, the largest of the large, He created them all at His will. The all-powerful One, the Almighty. It is from this Lord Shiva, the compassionate bestower of boons, that the sage Bharadvaja sought a blessing. On a mission to invite the divine couple to his yajna, sage Bharadvaja visits Kailasha. Finding them engaged in the Tandava Nritya, Bharadvaja waits for 8 long days. Exposure to the icy slopes of Kailasha leads to a paralytic stroke. Revived by Shiva sprinkling water, Bharadvaja was granted a boon. We will be born in your lineage thrice. First I alone will incarnate, followed by my incarnation with Shakti. The final incarnation will celebrate the coming of Shakti. To atone for Shakti's sin of continuing with the dance despite noticing Bharadvaja's presence, the Shiva Shakti avatar will suffer from a paralytic stroke for 8 days. I will sprinkle water on Shakti and revive the body. The fruit of Bharadvaja's penance has been the avatar of Shirdi Sai Baba, followed by Satya Sai Baba, which we have been fortunate to witness and experience. One fine day, as Ishwaramma was drawing water from a well, she saw a radiant ball of light coming towards her and entering her being. she fainted. The Lord had chosen his mother. As time passed, mysterious intimations of the impending birth disturbed the even tenor of Pedda Venkappa's life. The household was awakened at midnight by the tambura twanging melodiously and rhythmically, and the maddala softly beating as though they were in experts' hands. Celebrations announcing the arrival of the divine incarnation had begun in their own mysterious way. The baby was aptly named Satyanarayana and became the darling of the entire village. Soon, the fragrance of the jasmine bud filled the air. Like a lighted lamp, Satya moved about the house, and laughter tinkled in the street when he lisped his vocabulary of sweet sounds. He kept away from places where pigs, sheep, cattle, or hen were killed or tortured, or where fish were trapped or caught. When a bird was selected to be prepared for dinner, little Satya would run to find the bird, clasp it to his bosom and fondle it, as if the extra love he poured on it would induce the elders to relent and spare the fowl. He was called Brahmagnani, the realized soul. At the tender age of 3 or 4, this Brahmin showed that he had a heart that melted at any suffering. In later years, this compassion would translate itself into mind-boggling mega projects like the super speciality hospitals and the water project for Anantapur district.
It was 1991. The Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences, a super speciality hospital, stood firm with a clarion call to humanity. The art of healing and providing medical relief to the deserving patients should not be prized and sold in the market as a commodity. This cost must be absorbed by society itself, as it is the birthright of every diseased person to obtain medical relief. A loving, compassionate and humane approach marks the practice of medicine in Bhagwan's hospitals. These miracles of his love serve not only as a temple of healing for the body, but also for the mind and the spirit. Like all of Bhagwan's endeavors, the hospitals aim at providing an example for man to emulate. The hospitals give a new lease of life to the poor depressed masses, who return not only with recouped health, but more so with their hearts saturated with the love and peace that he bestows. As the inner thirst of man for love was being quenched by his words and actions, thirst itself, in its literal sense, had to be quenched. In the backdrop of failing monsoons and failing crops, parched lands and thirsty people, the Sri Satya Sai drinking water supply project sprang up in Anantapur district, making available sweet drinking water to a populace that had to walk miles to fetch their daily requirement. One by one, other districts turned to Bhagwan for succor, and would he refuse? No could never be his reply. Yes, yes, and always yes, as he himself says. Right from his birth, his life was his message. When Satya began running about in the streets, he sought out the maimed, the blind, the decrepit, and the diseased, and led them by the hand to the doorstep for some grain or food. When this was put into the beggar's bowl, the little master looked on happily. Often he would starve only because he was giving away his share of food to the beggars. Decades later, Baba would exhort members of the Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations to perform the Narayan Seva.
At school, Satya would materialize sweets and other objects out of an empty bag. When questioned, he would say that an angel was obeying his orders. Satya was always the example they sought. Very soon, he became the guru for all of them. After all, he was a guru for all climes, all ages. When he was 10 years of age, Satya formed in Puttaparthi a Pandhari Bhajan group. Satya taught the children in poetry and song the glory of the Panduranga shrine, songs on the life of Krishna and of a new deity of which no one had yet heard, Sai Baba of Shirdi. The seeds of the Bhajan movement and Nagar Sankirtan were already sown in those early days.
विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा हे कृष्णा हे कृष्णा हे कृष्णा हे कृष्णा नंद किशोरा श्याम गोपाला नंद किशोरा श्याम गोपाला श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला श्याम गोपाला मदन गोपाला विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा 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 विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा पांडुरंगा विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा विठ्ठल जय पांडुरंगा
As divinity was revealing itself in so many ways, envy and jealousy were not silent witnesses. Many people tried to put down Satya. When Satya was young, he was called by a neighbor for snacks. He was served poison vadas. He ate the vadas. Nothing happened. He was later able to vomit out the poison vadas, which, to the amazement of everyone, had remained whole in their originally served form. On yet another occasion, Satya was locked up with a few of his friends in a hut, and the hut was set on fire. How could the heavens watch their Lord being incinerated? They cried, and to the amazement of the people outside, rains fell on the hut alone. Satya walked out, safe and sound. Satya forgave them, for they knew not what they were doing. As he said to Subbamma, with every such incident, his divinity was revealed more and more.
On the 23rd of May 1940, the 14-year-old Satya rose from bed as usual. Soon afterwards, he called the members of the household around him and with a mere wave of his hand presented them with sugar candy and flowers. The neighbors flocked in, amazed at this wonder. They too were similarly blessed. The father, unimpressed by all this, took a stick in his hand and accosted the boy. He shouted at his son, "Are you a god or a ghost or a madcap? Tell me." The heavens had waited for this moment. The little lips parted, and then came out the words that he had held back for so long. "I am Sai Baba. I belong to the Apastamba Sutra, the spiritual lineage of Bharadwaja." "What do you mean by Sai Baba?" "Your Venkavaduta prayed that I be born into your family, so I came." Someone challenged him for proof. He smiled and took a handful of jasmine flowers and with a quick gesture threw them on the floor. They saw that the flowers, while falling on the floor, had formed the Telugu letters, bold and big, Sai Baba. The Leelas of the little Sai Baba continued.
It was Hampi, the capital of the ancient Vijayanagar Empire. They had come in a group this time, having visited the ruins and the architectural sites. The party entered the temple of Virupaksha. Satya too followed, but he chose to stay outside, gazing at the majesty of the temple Gopuram. Worship was on at the Sanctum Sanctorum. The priest waved the flame of camphor before the lingam. Lingam? Nay, not the lingam. It was Satya. Satya stood smiling erect, accepting the worship of the amazed onlookers. Mischievous Satya, how could he ever do that? They were all bemused. The brother ran outside, only to find the self-same Satya leaning against the temple wall. He ran back inside, only to see Satya granting darshan from the Sanctum Sanctorum. The moment of truth had come. It was the 20th of October, 1940. After returning from Hampi, Satya was to start for school as usual. But on his countenance was a splendid halo. He stood at the doorstep, cast aside the books he was carrying and called out, "I am no longer your Satya. I am Sai Baba. Maya has gone. My devotees are calling me. I have my work. I cannot stay any longer." He stepped out into the garden of the nearby bungalow of Excise Inspector Anjaneyalu and sat on the rock amidst the trees. People poured in slowly, bringing flowers and fruits to worship him. He taught them the first prayer, a bhajan.
मानस भजरे गुरु चरणम दुष्टर भव सागर तरणम गुरु महाराज गुरु जय जय साईनाथ सद्गुरु जय जय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमः ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय शिवाय नमः अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुण शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुण.
His were the divine feet that a million minds would come to worship. These were the lotus feet which would help mankind to cross the mighty waves of this ocean of worldly existence. He sang and they followed in chorus. The Guru was here.
मानस भजरे गुरु चरणम दुष्टर भव सागर तरणम.
Devotees came in large numbers for his darshan in the evenings. He would take them to the sands of the Chitravati, his playground. His hand would play with the heaps of sand. Even as 100 eyes watched intently, the elements obeyed his command. The grains of sand would turn into an idol of God in gold, bronzed images of deities, statues and pictures, tasty sweets and exotic fruits, a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, sometimes even the divine ambrosia, Amrit. He would be seated on the sands, talking to his devotees, and then all of a sudden he would disappear. The disturbed devotees would look around, only to find him next to the tamarind tree atop the hill, laughing. He would then pluck from its branches different varieties of fruits. Apples from one branch, mangoes from another, oranges from a third, pears and figs from a fourth and a fifth. The tree came to be called the Kalpa Vriksha, the wish-fulfilling tree, with a mere touch of the wish-fulfilling Lord. And on yet another occasion, "Look up," he said, from the rugged terrain, and when they turned their glance upwards, there existed nothing else in the world. No sky, the sands too had disappeared. Only a blinding jet of bright light emanating from his forehead. Some swooned and fell, others stared in awe and wonder. The sun, the moon, visions of gods, Lord Krishna, the Dashavatars, Hanuman, his previous body at Shirdi, to each as he worshipped him. Revelations abounded in those early years of the avatar. Many were healed and many more were transformed. While his miracles charmed and attracted the devotees, they always conveyed a message, the teacher of teachers that he was.
Among these messages was one of his letters addressed to his brother in 1947 that reveals Baba in unmistakable terms. I have a task to foster all mankind and to ensure for all of them lives full of Ananda. I have a vow to lead all who stray away from the straight path again into goodness and save them. I am attached to a work that I love, to remove the sufferings of the poor and grant them what they lack. I have no mine or thine. I act and move only for the sake of mankind. No one can comprehend my glory. Whoever he is, whatever his method of inquiry, however long his attempt, you can yourself see the full glory in the coming years. Thus, your Baba. If miracles were his visiting cards, they left their imprints on a vast and global canvas. As the fragrance of his Leelas and Mahimas reached out to thousands of ears, thousands of feet restlessly journeyed to Puttaparthi. His gifts of grace, chains, rings, and watches, miraculous cures, and life-saving miracles continued. Confronted with amazing miracles and an outpouring of evidence that pointed to his inherent divinity, the world was left wondering about the phenomenon they were faced with. The world seemed to be saying, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you are, but I know you are. He explains in his own inimitable style, Aham Satya Bodhakaha. I am the teacher of truth. Every word of this teacher of teachers is a mantra. Every discourse is an Upanishad.
Manas ekam, vachas ekam, karmanyekam mahatmanam. The unity of thought, word and deed was a lesson that he emphasized not only through his discourses but also through a very potent play named Cheppinattu Chestara, written for his school drama when he was 12 years of age. As simple as the play was, it conveyed the message beautifully through the dilemma of its protagonist, a young schoolboy named Krishna. A housewife reads aloud from the scriptures that she must serve the poor and the needy and not the lazy pretenders. Yet, she shuns away a needy blind man while lavishly serving a well-fed mendicant. Cheppinattu Chestara, do you act as you speak? Krishna finds his father refusing money to a poor boy who is a few rupees short of paying his school fees, while generously giving away hundreds of rupees for an office party. Cheppinattu Chestara. At school, Krishna finds his teacher teaching them the story of Satya Harishchandra, but asking them to lie to the school inspector. Cheppinattu Chestara. With all the hypocrisy around him, little Krishna wonders, if all that is learned has to be discarded when it comes to action, why does he need to go to school at all? What he tells us is not anything new, for he has come only to repair the ancient highway to God. He says, I have come to light the lamp of love in your heart, to see that it shines day by day with added lustre. Love seeks no reward. Love is its own reward. Transform love into service. Transform service into worship. That is the highest sadhana. The cultivation of love alone can convince man of the truth that there is only one caste, the caste of humanity, and only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one language, the language of the heart. His teaching has universal appeal, for it seeks not to create a new identity or show us a new path, but to make us true to our own chosen path. A Christian should be a good Christian. A Hindu should be a good Hindu. A Muslim should be a good Muslim. Childhood events in his life were a forerunner of things to come.
He knew that the participation of the youth was essential for the success of his fourfold mission of Veda Poshana, Vidvat Poshana, Bhakta Rakshana and Dharma Rakshana. Hence, the Sadguru began his program of transformation with the youth and students. The master plan unfolded with the setting up of colleges leading to the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. This university has been established not merely to prepare you for earning degrees. The main purpose is to cultivate self-knowledge and self-realization. Teaching the curricula, preparing you for the examinations and awarding degrees are only the means employed for the end, namely spiritual upliftment, self-discovery and social service through love and detachment. He had given the world what it wanted so that it may want what he had come to give. The students of his educational institutions learned the great lessons of life in close proximity of their beloved Swami. The institutions also served as the setting for the summer courses in Indian culture and spirituality and the Sri Sathya Sai Gram Seva, a program that shaped the thinking of an entire generation towards service, a task which he began in the early 1960s with the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organizations. The task of Dharma Samstapana begins with the students playing an active role in the revival of ancient practices.
सर्वरूपधरं शान्तं सर्वनामधरं शिवम् सच्चिदानन्दरूपम् अद्वैतम् सत्यं శివం సుందరం.
He lived his life in order to demonstrate that man is essentially divine. He only needs to realize this. He would say, "Come one and all, see in me yourself, for I see myself in you all. You are my life, my breath, and my soul. You are my forms all. When I love you, I love myself. When you love yourself, you love me. I have separated myself from myself so that I may love myself. My beloved ones, you are my own self." His greatest miracle is the transformation of man through the power of his love.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా,
embodiments of love.
జంతువునాం నరజన్మ దుర్లభం.
The human life is rarest of all.
తన తత్వాన్ని తాను గుర్తించి, తన తత్వాన్ని పరులకు బోధించి, తన తత్వాన్ని పరుల నుంచి అందుకొని తద్వారా ఆనందించటమే నిజమైనటువంటి యొక్క బోధన.
The true teaching of life requires the total awareness and understanding the nature of the self, the one's own center of life, the being, experiencing it and sharing with others.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా,
Embodiments of love.
నాకు మీకు డైరెక్ట్ కనెక్షన్ ఉంటుండాలి.
There's direct connection between you and Bhagavan.
మీరు ఏ గ్రామం పోయినా కూడాను, ఎక్కడ పోయి మీ ఉద్యోగం చేసినా మీ వెంటనే జంటనే ఇంటనే ఉంటాను.
You may go to any village, you may take up a job anywhere, but Bhagavan is always with you.
నువ్వు ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళినా నీ నీడ వస్తున్నది కదా.
Your shadow follows you wherever you go.
నేను నీడనే.
Bhagavan is your shadow.
నాట్ షాడో. నీలో ఉన్నటువంటి ఒక దీన్నే దాన్ని నిరూపిస్తూ ఉంటాను.
Not merely shadow, he is indweller, he is in you.
కనుక I am you, you are mine.
Oh, Swami says, I am you and you are mine.
भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं, भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं, साईं भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं, साईं भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं, हरि नाम बिना आनंद नहीं, साईं नाम बिना आनंद नहीं, साईं नाम बिना आनंद नहीं, हरि भजन बिना शांति नहीं, साईं भजन बिना शांति नहीं, जप गान बिना संयोग नहीं, जप गान बिना संयोग नहीं, प्रभु दर्श बिना प्रज्ञान नहीं, प्रभु दर्श बिना प्रज्ञान नहीं, दया धर्म बिना सत्कर्म नहीं, दया धर्म बिना सत्कर्म नहीं, भगवान बिना कोई अपना नहीं, हरि नाम बिना परमात्मा 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 नहीं, हरि भजन हरि नाम बिना आनंद नहीं, हरि नाम बिना आनंद नहीं, हरि भजन बिना, हरि